Police in London must have felt a little let down last week after no doubt taking the time to learn how to put makeup on, buying fancy rainbow epaulettes, badges and helmets, and wrapping their cars in gay appreciation symbols, only to be told by organisers of the London Gay Pride March to not join in at the march. The organisers have apparently taken an unusual step following accusations by campaigners of very serious evidence of police homophobia within the Metropolitan Police. The organising committee, Pride in London, received hundreds of letters, apparently, calling to exclude Metropolitan Police's LGBT+ network group. However, this is not the first time the police have been asked not to join in. In 2021, the event organisers, Pride in London, received hundreds of letters calling to exclude Metropolitan Police's LGBT+ network group as critics drew attention to the police force's history of brutality against communities of colour. Not that that's got anything to do with being gay. But even after months of feedback from critics, the request to ban police was rejected by the organisers at the time. Interestingly, during my research, it appears that in 2018 the Pride March was interrupted by trans exclusionary radical feminists, or TERFS, or twants, who passed out what people called anti-trans literature and held up banners with slogans like lesbian not queer and trans activism erases lesbians. That same year, Stonewall, the UK's largest LGBTQ+ advocacy group, pulled out
Giggity giggity, giggity goo.
of its festival after criticising its lack of diversity. This whole inclusionary and diverse community seems to be experiencing an awful lot of infighting now, doesn't it? Anyway, back to this year's Pride. Pride in London said in a statement that it worked hard to strike a balance between the very real legitimate concerns of its community as well as being welcoming, and that the presence of uniformed officers at the event undermines that balance. You know, but it's been fine for every other Pride event because they were getting what they wanted, protection from an organisation willing to bend over backwards for a community of people for fear of upsetting their fifis and being called some nasty names. Peter Tatchell, a gay rights campaigner, said he had attended every London Pride event so far. Well, jolly for you, Peter. You must be so proud of yourself. He said he had been urging for several years that the police should not participate in Pride whilst wearing uniform, and said the move was a welcome sign that they were listening to the community's concerns. So what would you prefer them to wear, Peter? Leather chaps with the butt cheeks cut out? Mankinis? Knowing how accommodating the police are to the LGBTQVWXYZ community, I'm sure they wouldn't hesitate to drop their cargo pants and let you measure up their inside leg for fitting.
Giggity.
A spokesperson for the Metropolitan Police admitted a number of incidents in recent times have damaged trust and confidence in policing, especially amongst the LGBT+ community, and so in recognising that, it had decided in April upon a different approach for the Pride 50th anniversary event in London. After close consultation with our own LGBT+ staff support association and listening to concerns raised by Pride in London on behalf of the community, we agreed to support those within the network who wished to participate, rather than the Met itself at an organisational level. Well, blow me.
Giggity.
Excuse the pun, not exactly the best choice of words for this report, but police shouldn't be getting involved in marches or gatherings of any kind anyway. As we've discussed many times, that simply shows how they favour some over others and clearly lack the afford equal respect without fear and favour and impartiality sections of their oaths. Tatchell said that although he wanted police to not be involved this year, he did not agree that a police presence at Pride should end, as he believed Pride was a potential target for extremists. And you're not wrong there, Petey. Many of the extremists are actually participating in the bloody thing. Now, with the police's very own bruised fifis, I wonder how much they're now going to spend on rewrapping their police cars and what nonsense they will be supporting next. Maybe faces of George Floyd on their vehicles, faces of the fallen police brethren who've had heart attacks at their desks In fact, you might as well go the whole hog and swap the yellow and blue Battenbergs for a straight solid blue line right down the sides of your police vehicles. Now that'll really show the public what we already know you think of us. Maybe it's about time the police really realise that they are screwed. Nobody likes them, and they need to stop trying to find minority groups to pander to and simply get on with doing the fucking job of policing properly.